Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on YouTube.com. And, well, it is this time, and we're not doing this one live. We usually don't do these ones particularly live. It is time for predictions, and this time it is going to be predictions for WWE's Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, which is going to be happening, of course, on Sunday. And we will be doing live reactions. I'm determining whether or not it will be on the Twitch page or the YouTube page. I've yet to determine that. We'll figure that out. As the week goes along. But let's jump right into it. We don't have as of the filming, we don't have a kickoff show match yet, so I don't know exactly what the kickoff show match will end up being. Obviously, though, there's usually at least one, if not two matches. It seems like they're trying to do two matches on the kickoff show now. Every single time, so they may have two more matches added, but as of this moment there is no matches added to the kickoff show, so we'll go right into it to what the main card is. Let's start off with the SmackDown Tag Team titles. It is going to be the New Day going up against Rusev Day, Aiden English and Rusev. This should be an interesting one. And I'm kind of going out on a limb. I think honestly I might be going out on a limb on some of these predictions a little bit. Honestly, I really only see two matches that I would really be going out on a limb on with the particular ones, and I'm gonna do that on this one. They don't tend to really want to put those titles on Rusev anymore. Just based off of everything. Like, he's had his two runs with the US title, but he hasn't really had anything outside of those two runs. And I think he's actually going to get another one here. That's right. I'm going to call for Rusev Day to pick up the victory. So Aiden English and Rusev pick up the victory, and they pick up the tag team titles. So that one I feel like I'm kind of going out on a limb on to go along with, but I can see this one actually happening and actually giving them a chance to run with the tag team belts for a little bit, maybe before they go back onto the New Day or somebody like that to go along that side. So let's go right into the Raw SmackDown, or the Raw SmackDown. I said Raw SmackDown. If they bring in the women's tag titles, it will be a Raw and SmackDown thing, but this will be just for the Raw tag team titles to go on that side. And it is going to be Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler going up against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. This can be a really good match, but it's interesting to note that they have the Intercontinental Champion, which is supposed to be the workhorse title, in the tag team title match. And it's also been interesting to note that we haven't seen the Intercontinental title around Seth Rollins' waist the last couple of weeks as well, though we've had little bits and pieces where Roman wasn't even carrying the Universal title as part of the Shield on that side of everything. So it's a little bit weird with where they're going with it. Everything on those particular ones. I'm actually going to go ahead and, for not much reasoning or anything on that one, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler to pick up the victory and keep the tag team titles. I don't feel like another switch of the tag team titles this quickly after they took them off of the B team is going to be a good idea. On that particular one, I could see Seth and Dean picking them up at some point in time again, but I don't necessarily see it happening at Hell in the Cell, and I don't see them necessarily doing a dual title for the most part at this point. They could do that somewhere down the line. I don't know if they would do it with Seth or if they do it with one of the other two guys with that Intercontinental title, but I don't see them picking it up quite yet. I see Dolph and Drew picking up the victory on this one. So this brings us to our first Hell in the Cell match, which is going to be Jeff Hardy going up against Randy Orton. And this one, considering like the way the feud's gone, the Hell in a Cell match is kind of warranted. But on SmackDown, you could kind of say that about the other two matches I haven't talked about on SmackDown yet, which is the Charlotte Flair Becky Lynch match and the Samoa Joe AJ Styles match. Either one of those matches you could pitch should be in the Hell in a Cell. Honestly, all three kind of work to go along with it, but we're going to have Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton as the only one of those three that will be inside Hell in a Cell. And we'll have, of course, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show on that one. So I'm I'm really, really hoping Jeff Hardy doesn't go super crazy with this one, but I have a feeling. We're going to see some kind of swanton off of the top of the cell, or we're going to see something crazy in this match, because when it comes to matches like this, and you kind of can say this with Shane McMahon as well, when it comes to matches where something crazy can go down, Jeff Hardy's bound to jump off of it. And this is the first time he's been in Hell in a Cell. Maybe this is their way of potentially writing him off of TV for a little bit as well, because there's been a lot of rumor that he has some nagging injuries to be working out, and maybe this will be the way that they write him off. But it'll be a big way of writing him off, because more than likely we're going to see a big bump off the cell in some way, shape, or form. And I just hope that A, it doesn't happen, or B, if it does happen, be super safe Jeff Hardy. I don't even care if they just mask it with, or they don't even do the masking that is like, oh, he landed just on the announce table, but it was padded. You can tell that it was padded on the bottom, but you don't necessarily see it. I would just put crash mat. Just put a giant crash mat, or like an inflatable crash pad for him to just softly land in, so he doesn't hurt himself doing this bump. More than likely, that will be seen on that side. That's one of those bits. I'm going with Randy Orton to pick up the victory on this one, and I kind of expect Jeff Hardy to do something absolutely insane inside or outside of the cage, whichever one really ends out happening on that. So, this brings us to Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella going up against Miz and Maurice. So Miz goes over at SummerSlam, and I don't see them having, even though the formula says that, even with the formula of Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella kind of getting one up on Miz and Maurice on the final SmackDown, I don't think the formula holds up on this one. And I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella to pick up the victory on this one, to kind of even it out a little bit. But I see in most of the one-on-one situations, Miz kind of holding his stake to always beating Daniel Bryan one-on-one until a later date. I know they have a match at Super Showdown that's supposed to be a number one contendership match. At this point, I'm kind of expecting Miz to go over on that one, which I'll probably have a prediction show for that as well down the line on that one. But we'll see how that one ends up playing out to go along with everything. But I expect Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella to go over in this one. So let's bring this to the SmackDown Women's title match, which will be Charlotte Flair going up against Becky Lynch. Well, I was just talking about the formula of the person that goes over on the show before the actual pay-per-view ends out losing. Well, I kind of think that formula is going to be holding the case here. I do pick Charlotte to pick up this victory in this particular match to kind of, I'll say, continue this feud a little bit further on. I don't even to a certain degree, I don't even expect this to maybe end in a massively clean way. I expect it to be some kind of shenanigan or something that happens inside of this match, but I'm predicting that that Charlotte is going to take the victory on this one and beat Becky Lynch on this particular match, where maybe down the line Becky Lynch is going to pick up that title, but I don't see her doing it quite yet. So let's bring this to the Raw Women's title match, which is going to be a rematch from SummerSlam. It's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. At SummerSlam, we saw a squash match, which was kind of expected. If you really take a look at it, Ronda Rousey would squash the Alexa Bliss without much of a problem. So we did see that. Guess what? We're not going to see that again. I feel like they're going to have this be a little bit more competitive, but I'm going to go with Ronda Rousey taking the victory on this one. They're going to probably play up that little rib injury thing from Monday Night Raw to go along with it, but I do expect Ronda Rousey to go over in this match and keep the Raw Women's title, especially with what they're thinking about doing for the main event of Evolution, with Ronda Rousey being up against Nikki Bella. And you're kind of seeing that play out on TV a little bit. At least last week you saw it, not so much this week. They didn't have any interaction this week, but you kind of see that the works for that particular match going down at this time. So let's bring this to the AJ Styles Samoa Joe match for the WWE Championship. I was a little bit torn on this one. There's a piece of me that thinks Samoa Joe is going to go over. But I also have that feeling that maybe we have more shenanigans happening in this particular match. And I'm actually going to pick AJ Styles in this match. Mainly because it's like the head games have really been there on Joe's side the entire time. He's been in AJ Styles' head from day one, or it's like from day one going forward. He's pretty much been inside his head, playing up to things with his family, everything to go along with that. And, you know, it makes me feel that AJ's going to win. And that, you know, the more that I think about it, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna go out on a limb on this one. I'm gonna go with Samoa Joe. I'm gonna change it right now. Since this is the prediction video, I can change it at least on the fly like that. So I am gonna go with Samoa Joe now instead of AJ Styles. And I'm taking that we might either have a new WWE champion or we have more shenanigans, which eventually leads to these two having, I don't know, a false count anywhere match or something, some kind of stipulation match down the line to go along with it. So that's what I'm kind of expecting now. So I'm going to go with Samoa Joe. So this leads us to the second Hell in a Cell match, which is going to be Roman Reigns going up against Braun Strowman for the Universal title. And Mick Foley's the special guest referee now. Is anybody seeing what I feel like I'm seeing on this one? Especially with the way that Mick was delivering the lines on Raw. It made it feel like that, are they doing something to get that title off of Roman so quickly after putting it on him? Or are we going to go through this little bit now that we have the Universal title back and it's away from Brock Lesnar, and it's only, instead of it being defended like once every 4 or 5 months, it's being defended on a monthly basis? Are we going to get a couple of title changes here and there? Are they going to put this on Braun Strowman? And I'm going to go out on a limb on it, and I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go with Braun Strowman. It's so weird that they put Mick Foley into the match right here. It feels like it's forced, out of place. Doesn't need to be there for a certain reason. I mean, they could always play it up that he's in the Hell in a Cell match for the sake of, you know, the 20 years and everything on that one. But I feel like there's more of a story going on to this other than Mick Foley being the special guest referee. I feel like maybe he gets involved in some way that costs Roman the particular match and forces the hand and has Braun win the Universal title. So I'm going to go with Braun Strowman. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. I know they just put that Universal title on Roman Reigns, and they've been trying to do it for God knows how long to go along with it. But I see them putting on Strowman at least for a little while. We'll see how everything ends up playing out on that one. It should be an interesting show. I think in the terms of match quality, it should be a pretty good show, honestly, to go along with it. In the terms of match quality, it should be pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how the stories play out going into this particular time frame with this particular show. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Hell in a Cell, at Hell in a Cell on Sunday. And so I've yet to determine still whether or not with live reactions. More than likely I will be doing live reactions to the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It will be either on the YouTube page or it'll be on the Twitch page. I don't know yet to go along with it, but we'll see how that one ends up playing out and see where everything goes from there. So with that being said, everybody, we will see you guys Sunday for live reactions to Hell in a Cell. And I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.